all my people? And if you're watching live, checking us out on YouTube, or listening on your favorite podcast provider, you are most definitely my people. Welcome to another episode of Botch Spots and Chair Shots. I am your host, a chef by trade and a mark by choice. I am the Will Gray. Tonight I'm joined. It's just the crew, just that core three of us. On the top right of your screen is everybody's favorite Ginger Ninja. You can find him on the Wrestle Talk Wolfpack Boyfriend Time Nerdy News at 420 and every Sunday on Botch Spots and Chair Shots. It's our boy Jax Bo. Jax, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic today. It's been a great Sunday fun day.
Sunday fun days are always great.
I love the glasses, Jax.
He's so sophisticated.
They're blue. They're blue light glasses because after staring at a screen all day, I'll get like this major headache at night, and they're supposed to help. So we're testing them out for the first time. Now I feel like I'm part of the crew though. I got my glasses.
The rules, the one rule for Rivet City Radio is you must have a beard. I said Jamie's on probation because he mucked up and accidentally shaved his beard off, but I'm pretty sure everyone else has facial hair. Like literally everyone.
I'm pretty sure we all do.
No, Mike does not. Metalcore Mike does not.
Mike has.
Prince. I don't think Prince has a beard.
Yes, he does.
Prince has a goatee, I think.
Yeah, he's got facial
Okay.
hair.
I'm pretty sure Mike's got a flavor saver. So he has facial hair.
Does he?
Yeah. So is this where the big kids play? Apparently, Matt. I'm not real sure where you heard that, but I'll accept it.
Peach Fuzz.
Peach Fuzz. But since she's here and she, already started to lay down the law and Jamie Rose, I'll introduce her. She is the Hoven of my Beyonce, the Bonnie to Clyde. She is the brains behind the operation of Rivet City Radio. She is the boss bitch. Al, how are you?
I'm good. It's been a pretty lazy day. Got some napping in and spent the entire weekend at home. That was nice.
Lots of choring over the last few days.
Do you feel like an adult?
Yes. I feel like we got some good adult shit done this weekend. It was fun.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
always fun. Always fun. It's just the three of us tonight. So I really hope that you guys, come prepared because you still have to answer the question. What has you guys pissed off your greatness this week in pro wrestling? What has you the most upset, good, bad, or indifferent?
I mean, I can go first.
Yeah, I want to hear Al's. I'm excited for Al's.
Well, the way you talked last night, you were pretty excited about it. And I'm curious about where this goes.
So let me start off with a positive. I'm super stoked that Jade is back on my TV. She's fucking amazing. She's worked so damn hard. At first, when she came out, everyone was like, she's real green. But that bitch worked. She worked hard. What I don't appreciate is them not giving her the title push that she actually deserves. I don't understand why we're putting her back up for the TBS title. She should be in the running for the women's world title. Like, this is absolutely fucking bullshit. Like, that just it just shows how little Tony Khan thinks about the choices in his women's division. Like, why would you put her back in the ring for that title? She is above that title now. I don't know. It also led me down a rabbit hole of other than Nyla Rose, TK has not put a men's or women's world title on a person of color, which in 5 years of having a promotion, that's
I don't disagree with the
Sean.
What's up, Sean? Good to see you, bud. I didn't mean to put that one up there. I know, but I'm just better looking right back. You have a type. You are a better looking right back. We talked about that. That was weird.
I feel like it's a step I feel like the next step in her evolution as a wrestler, as a competitor, as an entertainer, would be the women's title.
Mhm.
The TBS title should be used as a stepping stone.
Yep.
She stepped on that stone. Let's move her up to the next thing.
1000% agree with that statement. Last night when we were watching Collision together, Jax, I said then that why are they putting her back in the TBS title picture? She more than proved herself as being one of the biggest champs in the company. So why are they putting her back in the mid card? Like, let her interject herself as this dominant animal of a woman that can go manhandle all the outcasts. And she goes, this is my time now. Like, she's the person to do that with because she's demanding. She's bigger, she's stronger, she's badder than every single person in the outcast, with the strong exception of Soraya. But she's the one holding the fucking belt. So that's why it makes sense, right? Let her pound through the outcast and let her fight Soraya for the belt.
It writes itself almost.
Bingo. TK, just give us the pencil, man. We could do this for you.
I swear to God, he lets Britt Baker write the women's storylines.
You just don't like Britt Baker. Just call a spade.
I don't. The thing I don't like about Britt Baker, and I used to like Britt Baker until they did that All Access show. And that really pulled back the curtain about how she is backstage. Like, there are parts of her that are absolutely amazing. Like, everything that she did for Adam Cole, like, while, he was recovering. Like, I think she's a badass to still, like, even though she doesn't work all the time, but, like, I do think it's badass that she wanted to, like, keep her dental career going. Like, she is a badass in lots of aspects. However, like, some of the things that she said on that show, and like her just sheer campaign against Thunder Rosa that they showed, like, it makes her a little like female CM Punk.
A female CM Punk.
Wow.
Just a little bit.
Wow, you went there.
I mean, there have been several women that have come out and talked about how toxic she personally is in that women's locker room.
Look into my eyes.
Like, you saw her on that show literally go to every woman and talk about Thunder Rosa behind her back.
We all know that Thunder Rosa has been done dirty in that locker room. Who's to say they didn't do that purposely to play into the dirt sheet rumors? Matt, you're 1000% not wrong with that. And Scouse throws his 2 cents in to agree. But see, here's the thing, like, and this may be just part of the evolution. The whole point in the 80s and the 90s were the boys weren't supposed to acknowledge the dirt sheets. The more you acknowledge the dirt sheets, more played into the fact that kayfabe was dead and it doesn't matter anyways. So, like, the idea of a major promoter, like, booking to go, like, to get a rise out of the dirt sheets kind of goes against everything that wrestling's history was built on. But that's just me being the old dude on my front porch.
I mean,
Get off my lawn.
About, like, the dirt sheet rumors is All Access was filmed a year prior to all of these things coming out. So, and they didn't come out till months after All Access was off the air. If they did go hand in hand, you would think that they would have come out at the same time. But they didn't. Neither here nor there. I feel like, there's all, like, in every work environment, there's always toxic assholes at work.
100%.
It is what it is. We get invested in these stories, but, like, when you're on a global stage as these people are, like, being a toxic bitch at work is going to bite you in the ass because people aren't going to want to work with you. And I mean, that happens in everyday work environments. If you're a toxic asshole, eventually it's going to catch up with you and people aren't going to want to work with you anymore.
Yeah.
That's why I got ran out of the kitchen.
That's not what happened. But, I mean, it's why, we lost a couple co-hosts. Not a couple.
No, we lost him
One.
twice, so we lost a co-host a couple times. And then we found
Not
Jack.
me. I'm still here.
Then we found Jax, which was, a step up. Jax wears boots, not yellow shoes.
Yeah.
Jax,
Well, more like flip flops.
flip-flops these days. What has you pissed off for greatness, Bo?
Listen, nothing has me pissed off, but I'm going to tell you what has me for greatness.
Yeah?
The fact that I get to see Roddy Strong versus Samoa Joe on
Okay.
free TV.
Okay.
And on top, I have two actually, because we talked about the other one. The other one that's greatness is we're finally going to get that singles match between Claudio and Kingston, title for title. I do not see them giving that belt to Claudio. So we're going to eventually get Kingston and Mark Briscoe, and I'm so happy about it right now.
You look like a cheesy little kid on Christmas, Bubba.
Dude, it's so many callbacks to like the first indie I got into was Ring of Honor. So it's so many callbacks to a company that I grew to love. Has TK ruined Ring of Honor? Yes. Yes. It's not its own brand. It needs to be, but
How excited are you for the International Championship not being in a book bag now, Jax?
oh, I'm stoked about that. It's actually being prestigiously wore around the waist of John Moxley.
Well, let's not go too far. Prestigious.
I mean,
is a
it's
big
going to
word
get
for
bled on.
It's definitely going to get bled on.
I will say, even though TK has ruined Ring of Honor, we at least people at least know Ring of Honor exists now.
Yeah, that's a good
I mean,
point.
there's some bad things that are, should they be separate? Yes, but he is bringing at least attention to the product.
I would say this isn't the best or the biggest Ring of Honor has ever been, but ironically, this might be the most eyes they've ever had on the product because of where wrestling's at in 2023.
It's a low point for the actual brand, but a high point at the same time. For me, it's a double-edged sword because Al's correct. There's a lot more eyes on it than there was before. I just think having it behind a paywall, like have your catalog behind that paywall, but give your show, put Ring of Honor on YouTube, put it on Honor Club for free. That'll get even more. The eyes that are seeing Claudio and stuff might actually go watch Ring of Honor. But a lot of people aren't going to go watch it because there's no backing behind it.
Shadow's raccoon hunting in the backyard again because he lives in the middle of nowhere. And if Claudio puts over Eddie, I wonder if that would fix the once friendship they had. And then Sean says Ring of Honor should replace the garbage show Rampage.
Agreed.
When was just real quick for the panel? When was the last time any of the three of us watched Rampage on a Friday night
on purpose?
Yeah.
When we went to Dynamite Live and we watched the first two matches and then left.
So you were there in the building live, but
she was forced to watch it, is what she's saying.
And even then, by the halfway point of Rampage, I was like, I don't really care. But
I'm pissed because we left, and then there was actually a good match at the end of it.
That Luchador match, Commander versus Ray Phoenix, that was a great match. Yeah. AJ says Bryan Danielson retiring in May of next year. I saw that. He said when his daughter turns 7, he'll be done. What's up, Jax?
We were watching Collision. Remember in Lucha Underground, the guy the luchador that would come out and draw the tongue from his mouth and suck it back up?
Yes.
He was one of those guys in that luchador Bullet Club match.
Drago, yeah. I looked it up. You were mentioning it last night, and I didn't know, but I went on a rabbit hole to see if I could find him. And those Lucha Underground guys, bro, they've got some weird-ass gimmicks. They go out there. Luchasaurus is nothing. Drago is what Luchasaurus is if you gave him a soul stone and he evolved. That's who Drago is. Drago. And Aerostar. Yeah, they were. I found both those guys, Matt. Thank you for
I didn't know who Aerostar was.
I looked them up because I knew they were either CMLL, AAA, or Lucha Underground. They were going to be from one of the three because they were too good not to be signed by a major Mexican promotion. So,
Drago was on Impact for a little bit too.
So was Shark Boy though. Paul London and Killer Cross in Lucha was fire. We saw Killer Cross work at Ric Flair's last match, and he worked Davey Boy Smith Jr., the British Bulldogs kid.
Well, we might have some beef. What's the problem with Shark Boy?
Oh, I was just talking shit. No, I don't have anything against Shark Boy. No, it's just anytime somebody's like, he had a run in Impact, I always like to be like, yeah, so did Shark Boy. Like,
yeah, so did
lots of people got over an Impact, Jax. I don't really have anything that has me pissed off for greatness this week, guys. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. I got some greatness beside it. The killer GCW show that we're watching right now, Crushed Up. Jackson and I turned it on and watched the first hour of it. For some reason, GCW is banging on all fronts right now, so I give them mad props. They're super indie. A lot of their stuff is just matches to put butts in seats, but they're doing a good job of it, and they're putting individual independent talent over in each market, so I'm fucking here for it. Big props to Brett Lauderdale. Please call me. Al, I got us through. Pissed off for greatness is done. It's time for news and rumors. What you got for me?
So we're just gonna go ahead and get the Punk shit out of the way.
Depends on what it is. Shadow, text it to me in Discord. Let me watch it first, and then I'll send it over to the computer if I can. Also in Lucha Underground. I'll have to look that up, AJ.
So here's my little fuck Punk segment. Not really, but I'm not going over all the things, but these are the things that I found either comical or notable. EC3 invites Punk to NWA. I'm pretty sure that's the only place he hasn't been kicked out of yet. Impact Wrestling is super excited about the idea of Punk maybe coming there. If he goes to either one of those places, we will get to interview him. So that's something.
We have a much better chance if he goes to the NWA than we do Impact. But if he goes to the NWA, 100% chance he'll be in that chair.
I mean, we can sweet talk us, I think.
I would sweet talk you.
And then my third thing is, while discussing his plan to start a new wrestling promotion, Freddie Prinze Jr. mentioned on his podcast that every single wrestler that I reached out to but one said they would love to help him out as long as CM Punk is not part of the project. Prince claims that more than 10 wrestlers he has spoken to felt that way about Punk.
Sean, you're absolutely right. We are huge advocates that Impact's not the best division, it's the best women's division in wrestling. Jax, what you got to say on Punk before we never talk about him on this show again?
Well, that's all we talked about Punk tonight, guys. I don't fucking have anything. It's CM Punk. Like, he's been like, I want to see him.
I've got one more thing. I did forget. I have one more thing.
What?
If he goes to Impact, I would laugh my ass off because it'd be the biggest place he's fallen to. True. He has been at the highest highs, and then he'll be at the lowest low.
This is my last Punk thing. For what it's worth, the Wrestling Observer claims that Punk contacted WWE towards the end of 2022, expressing his desire to return there because he was expecting AEW to buy out his contract after the backstage fight with the Elite. However, people in WWE indicated they were not interested.
I think that Phil Brooks will determine where CM Phil gets to wrestle. Because Phil Brooks's attitude will be the determining factor as to which promoter will book him. And it's a matter of who he can sweet talk to being in that position, because I think he's sent up enough red flags now that people see it. So I think that'll be it. I think Punk will go wherever he needs to.
Bad Girls Club.
Bad
like
Girls
Sean
Club.
said.
Yeah. And he was backstage at Raw. He was also, when they were in the United Center a few months ago, he got seen backstage. Like, it is what it is.
I mean, he does have friends.
I don't dislike, like I said, CM Punk, the wrestler, is a great wrestler. He's a great mind for the business. Everything he does, like in-ring work-wise, he's not bad. But the issue is Phil Brooks, the person, is hard to work with. And that's where they're starting to run into their trouble.
Matt, for all I care,
Matt
let
Ward.
Punk go wrestle for XPW.
I'm pretty sure that what's his name, Rob Black, can't afford CM Punk. He's getting sued right now, pretty big, for some shit that happened at an XPW show. AEW couldn't handle Punk. Do you think is that the issue? Do you guys think that it was AEW and Tony Khan not being able to handle CM Punk?
I think that AEW is full of a lot of egos, and then adding Punk to that mix did not help.
Agree.
There's a lot of big egos in AEW. No offense, full offense to the elite. But
Conan will sign him in AAA.
For three men who, no offense, never were able to make it on the big stage in WWE, they sure swing their dicks pretty hard.
Oh, are you talking about Anime DX and Twinkle Toes?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I love Kenny Omega.
But I'm just saying, like, they have a lot of a lot of egos. And, I think when Cody was there, he kind of helped squash some of that because he's more of a chill person and respectful because he understands the business being a
business.
Yeah. And also, he grew up around that environment, so he understands. So I think adding a toxic ego to inflated egos is what caused the problem. That's my own opinion. There's nothing to back up any of those fucking facts. Like, that's just my opinion. There's a lot of egos in wrestling in general. But, those three are pretty inflated. And to be EVPs, putting the belts on yourself as much as they do, and so.
Yeah. Can we move on from CM Punk now?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Please.
WWE Hall of Famer Jim Duggan was hospitalized. Something happened during an event. He's been struggling with prostate cancer, and also they had a home invasion situation this year. So, thoughts to him and his family.
Yes.
Yeah, there was some stuff posted online around the time his house got to get ready for an interview. See you guys. Love you, Shadow. Thank you.
Love you, Shadow.
There was a thing when his house got broken into. Apparently, this old ass man pulled a 45 in his underwear on who broke into his house, which is the most fucking American thing to do on the planet, and I love that. Oh,
I mean,
Tommy's favorite wrestler.
Is it?
He's got prostate cancer. He gives no fucks.
No, trust me. When I was going through chemo, I didn't give a shit. Like, I get that life. Like 100%. No fucks given. Like, you're lucky I'm here today. But yeah, big props to Jim Duggan. Get through it. He's a fucking trooper. He's up there with, Ric Flair and those guys. He'll outlive us all.
WWE Crown Jewel is set for Saturday, November the 4th. There's also a GCW to show that day in Hotlanta, right?
I think the GCW show's the 12th, the following week.
There's something.
Is this another house show?
This is the Saudi Arabia show, right? In Crown Jewel, the one they go to Riyadh?
Yeah.
Riyadh?
Oh, so this one I'll actually be able to watch.
Yeah. I'm still salty about them putting John Cena and Seth Rollins in a fucking tag team together and not airing that shit.
Yeah.
Fuck you guys.
Facts. Big facts. I like it. I'm not big on the Saudi shows. I think the Saudi government using blood money to pay off WWE is kind of shady. But there's a lot of people who have a lot harder opinions on the matter than I do. I don't not watch these shows. I've got friends that won't watch the Saudi shows and don't claim them as canon and stuff because of it. But I mean, I'll still watch. It's weird watching pay-per-views in the middle of the day. Starting at like noon. That's weird.
It's kind of nice though.
Yeah.
You know, it's like watching the football.
Kind of like watching football.
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 Bring
back the greatest Royal Rumble. That'd be cool. I would like to see him bring back like a 40-person Royal Rumble. That'd be a lot of fun.
How do you fit 40 people in a ring?
Oh, they wouldn't all be in there at the same time. Next.
An insider reports that Bobby Roode and Nick Aldis worked Raw and main event tapings as producers this week. Aldis's work was still described as a tryout. Do we think that if Nick Aldis goes back to WWE in a producer role, do we think that we will see Mickey go that direction too? I mean, the women's division fucking needs her.
I agree with Robert Roode can't wrestle. I agree with Sean. That sucks.
Yeah, it does.
I think that the Nick Aldis being in WWE thing lends itself more towards the rumors that we've been reporting where WWE is trying to stir the pot some. And it's very, foreshadowing for the rest of the episode once we get through news and rumors. But WWE is discussing opening that forbidden door in way of Impact and New Japan and NWA and possibly welcoming in some of these other promotions into their TV programs. So I think that if what I heard is true and that the WWE wants that representation in the Royal Rumble, then having Nick Aldis as a producer with his upstanding relationship he has in Impact, him and Scott get along great. Him and Billy get along great. So having a producer that's still on the good side with so many promoters is nothing but a good thing to have. Bobby Roode is a fantastic mind of the business. So it sucks that he can't wrestle, but him helping produce and get these young kids over is going to be great. They already started with Robert Roode. Bring back Santino. He's the enforcer on Impact. What's up, Jax?
We were just talking about that Friday night when we were watching SmackDown, how sometimes the talent should produce these matches, like the EO and Asuka. Like, could you imagine Shinsuke? That's the one we talked about. Imagine Shinsuke Nakamura producing EO Sky and Asuka.
I think it'd be badass.
Oh, yeah, we were talking about that. Having Shinsuke produce that strong style match. Absolutely. It's like having somebody who is a really good chef cook you tacos versus having a Hispanic chef cook you tacos. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like Shinsuke, Robert Roode can produce a hell of a match, but if you want the best women's strong style match WWE's ever had, then get the best strong style wrestler to ever do it. Allow him to produce that match. EO and Asuka will tear the roof off. Absolutely. Jason Jordan produced the Gable Gunther 3 last week for the main event. You're absolutely right. American Alpha in the house. Represent that. So I'm here for it.
The curse of the women's tag belt strikes again. As we know, Piper Niven has been sick, even though they saged the fuck out of those titles. However, Piper Niven is fine. Per Sean Ross Sapp, he says she's out with an illness, but is expected to be back soon. Thank God. They finally put my girl on TV, and then she gets sick.
I like Piper.
She's amazing.
I do.
Yeah. I think she's a good tag partner for Chelsea. I think she's a solid worker, one of the best they have. So put her on TV, let her win. It sucks that she got hurt or got sick, whichever the case is, but bring her back and let her do the things. Say the words, do the things.
There is some heat on AR Fox at AEW per Fightful. That's because the company doesn't feel he was forthcoming about being unable to travel internationally, which resulted in a late change to All In's coffin match.
Okay, I've got mixed emotions on AR Fox, and I'm sorry to jump ahead of Jax. But AR Fox has a history on the indies of being tough to work with. If you watch the special that was on Hulu, what was it called? Wrestler? It's just called Wrestler? Wrestler or Wrestlers?
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, The Wrestlers is the OVW one starting on the 12th that's coming out.
Yeah.
This one was just called Wrestlers, I believe. And they discussed it there about how he's always been like one step away from getting over and getting into that big contract, and then his own personality and his own personal demons hold him back. And you see it a lot in other sports too, but it sucks because he's so talented, but his attitude keeps holding him back. And I feel like this is something we've seen happen time and time again with AR Fox, especially on the indie scene.
Agree.
Yeah.
I mean, you would think AEW would have checked to make sure he had a passport before they booked the match anyway.
Well, if he's got any kind of like felonies or any restrictions like that too, they might not be able to let him over. Like some countries are super weird about like having felons travel into your country, especially. See, this is the thing too, and we've featured this a little over a year ago. Is entertainers' visas are expensive as shit, man. Like for a promotion to pay for you to get your entertainer's visa and cross lines is expensive. Like they're not cheap to do that, and like Jeremy Prophet discussed it. He's a Canadian independent star, and he discussed the fact that he's had trouble coming into the States because promoters don't want to pay. It's easier and it's more cost effective to pay a mediocre indie wrestler in the States to bring in the best talent from Canada. And that's the issue with it. And some of these guys can't get over to these other countries because how expensive entertainers' visas are.
I didn't know they got a different visa.
They do. They don't get a sports visa or anything. They have to get the same kind of visa like traveling musicians get and shit.
Oh.
Yeah. They don't get a musician's visa or anything like that.
Yeah.
Or they get an entertainer's visa like a musician and stuff.
Yeah. There was something wrong with his paperwork. It doesn't specify what, but I guess like he didn't even have a passport. Because he has not worked internationally since 2006. So he probably just let his passport expire.
Also plausible.
And they didn't have time to, but he probably didn't bother to mention it.
Well, that's the other side of it, too. You know whether or not you're able to travel internationally. Like, that's not something that slips through the cracks. He should have brought that up if he wasn't prepared before they booked him for that show.
Right. That's
something he should have discussed.
Yeah. Speaking of passport issues, Becky Lynch was pulled from the Superstar Spectacle because she was not able to travel. Qatar Airlines wouldn't let her board her flight to India due to a tiny tear in her passport. House of Wrestling confirmed with a WWE rep that that's actually what happened. I guess there were some rumors that she didn't want to go because of heat that she has with Triple H. I guess the whole. So.
I don't know how to react to this because when I was in hotels and I did what was called task force work, I talk for a living. They would pay for me to go to other properties and be their chef while they trained somebody or hired a new chef. The idea of these multi-million-dollar companies fucking up travel just blows my mind.
Well, I think she didn't think that a small little tear in her passport would be an issue.
To me personally, it's like, cross your T's and dot your I's, people. Like, double check and triple check your stuff. This isn't a vacation. This is your job. What the fuck just happened?
I mean, a friend of mine recently had a similar issue. She was able to get it resolved, but she was going to Thailand and her passport was set to expire like in 2 months or something. But Thailand has a rule that if your passport expires within like 6 months of you traveling there, they will not let you in the country at all. Yeah, so she had a week to scramble and get her passport renewed. Like, she had to email like a senator, like the state senator, not like the like little state congress, but like the congressman for the state, to like get her an appointment to get her passport renewed quickly.
I can't say shit, really. I talk like but I don't even have a passport. I'm 37, almost 38 years old, and I've never traveled. I've never traveled outside the country that required a passport. I've been to Canada and I've been to the Caribbean, and at both those points, it was before you had to have a passport to do it.
I've never been out of the country, so I wouldn't even know where to start to get a passport.
The post office, apparently.
No, you fill out a form online. Or something.
I don't know. I've never got one. Good day, guys. It's our buddy Tom from Down Under. I appreciate you, Tom. Hope all is well, sir. Sean also says he's never had a passport. Sean, how old are you? I want to see if I'm a par for the course, if you're in the old guys club or not. What's next on your list?
While NXT closing with a black screen was a pre-planned angle, sources told Bodyslam.net that Braun Breaker accidentally made more contact with Von Wagner's head than planned with their steel step spot. Wagner was busted open, and some backstage were exceptionally worried. The site could not confirm if Wagner was injured beyond being cut or what his current status is.
Real quick before we go into the Von Wagner stuff, Tommy says $205 plus a $460 fee for your entertainer's visa to get into the country. Sean says he also needs a passport. Hydrate. Thank you, Sean. I think it was a good spot. Jax, what did you think about them pulling the curtain back and showing you the other angle where you could see Von put his head down? Like, do you think they should have let it just go black and not be like, it was just for show, he's fine, guys? You know, like.
Yeah, I would have let it go black and just wait until next week to do anything. That's another like, I saw a fan angle of it too on Twitter where you can see him move his head. I'm thinking, this is why they don't let you shouldn't be recording in wrestling shows.
I've had people that have said once they go see a show live, they don't like wrestling as much because it pulls the curtain back too far.
No, I love live wrestling.
It's one of my favorite things to do. Sean says his went black. Al, did you watch NXT this week?
No.
I know the answer. I was just kidding. I get my NXT news from NXT Live on Tap with our boy Sean. No, our boy Scouse, not Sean. I was just looking at the screen and saw both Sean's comment at the same time. I apologize, Scouse. I get my NXT news from Live on Tap with our boy Scouse on Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock. Sometimes Jaxo's on there too. He's in and out. Jaxo's everywhere.
No, I'm there. I'm there now.
You're there now? So check out NXT Live on Tap with our boy Scouse and Jax for show. Well, you're not supposed to record at this kind of events. You're not supposed to record in NXT at all. There's been that dude Nico Extra got in trouble for recording, right, Jackson? Is that what you said?
Yeah. From all the stuff I've heard, he was live streaming and was politely asked not to.
Politely. Triple H is going to kick you in the teeth if you get caught doing it again. Appreciate the follow, Sean, as well. Thank you, sir, for that.
Thank you, Sean.
Yeah. I just think they should have just let it go to black. If Von Wagner wasn't actually super injured, then the reports of oh, there were people that were distressed and stuff, is awesome. That's what you need to do to build the story. If the dude's not actually hurt, report. I mean, fucking Andy Kaufman lived in a hospital for like 40 days after selling a pile driver and paid his own hospital bills just to put over Memphis Wrestling.
Yeah.
What's next?
I'm
sorry, Jax. I didn't mean to cut you off, Bubba.
Oh no, I was just agreeing, like the Andy Kaufman thing. Like, he's like, yeah.
Thunder Rosa's AEW return could come at any time per 5-volt. That's it. That's the tweet.
Long overdue.
She's got a banger of a theme song.
Yeah.
I need Sean to get us that inside scoop about when she's coming back.
Yeah, Sean, call your girl. That's right. We know who she is, Sean. We know you love her. You need to get that inside scoop and let Rivet City Radio break when her return is going to be.
BWE claims that LA Knight, Seth Rollins, Imperium, The Miz, Drew McIntyre, and NXT talents are all up for new contracts. However, few have been approved so far.
We have to assume this is because of the buyout, right?
I would assume. I mean, the Drew McIntyre contract back and forth has been going on for a while.
And we know they've got cuts coming anyways, because it was reported earlier in the year by Forbes and, the fucking Wall Street Journal and shit, that Endeavor was saying when TKO Holdings closes that they're between the two companies, they're estimating $50 million in budget cuts. So we know some contracts aren't going to get renewed. And Sean is right. LA Knight just re-signed. He inked a long-term deal within the last 24 or 48 hours, if I remember right.
Okay. Well,
corporate layoffs, you're right, Sean, absolutely.
Days.
Yeah. Well, I mean, somewhere in between here and there, LA Knight did ink a long-term deal with WWE. He's going to probably finish his career there, one would assume.
Well, he's getting to the end of his career there.
He's 40 years old, man. He's 2 years older than we are.
Sting is still wrestling.
That's true. If LA Knight wrestled until 63, he would have 23 years left in his career.
That's a good point.
Jeez.
Sting, Ricky Morton.
PCO.
PCO is a good example, yeah. Sting should retire. So
I mean, I'm not
Yes,
saying that
he
these
should.
people shouldn't retire, but it is expected that Bryan Danielson will primarily work on AEW Collision going forward rather than Dynamite. I guess he's going to fill the Punk spot.
He's the new CM Punk. Without all the toxicity of Phil Brooks involved. TK also said recently that if he were to get hit by a bus, the person he told his dad to leave AEW to was Bryan Danielson.
It's interesting.
Yeah, like that's who he would want booking the shows and running the company would be BD.
So he should let him do it now.
Jax, what'd you think about it if TK let Bryan Danielson book the show? Yes.
I feel like he would have his wifey and her sister help him book that women's division properly.
Oh, God, I could see his wife being in charge of the women's division, the power couple that would give Triple H and Stephanie a run for their money.
Facts.
And that's what I personally think that's what AEW needs sooner than later. Give Danielson the reins.
I don't think that would hurt anything.
And just be a Vince McMahon and float the bill. Like, do something with your life.
No, I don't think Punk's coming back to WWE. I don't think that anyone is going to realistically have him, except for an Impact or an NWA that kind of needs him. And I use that term real loosely, needs him. I feel like WWE has enough drama without Punk in the mix.
Matt has a perfect thing with Maria Kanellis running the women's division in Ring of Honor. She's got a great history with the company. She was there with the Kingdom all the way through. She would be perfect. Plus, she's got booking experience with her all-women's promotion she does based out of Chicago. Thought we weren't talking about Punk anymore. Sean, sometimes.
Somebody brought it up.
Sometimes. Tommy brought a
It's
question.
all Tommy's fault.
And we're hosts for the people. So if you guys got questions, we got answers. You got Q's, we got A's.
Sports Illustrated says the Dudley Boys have recently signed a new Legends contract, which I find interesting because they did a lot of work to get out of their last one.
I think this goes into what I was saying with the whole Impact thing, man, because they were announced at episode 1000. No free shoutouts, no spoilers. Spoiler free is the way to be, or whatever the fuck Lee says over on Perch on the Top Rope. That they were announced as Team 3D after their Legends deals at Impact. So in my opinion, that says to me that since Impact is using WWE names, that's the direction we're going, right, guys?
Maybe.
I mean, it makes sense.
I mean, they did that, that one time with Mickey James.
Yeah.
So, and looking at this Eric Bischoff thing.
The Eric Bischoff stuff I posted on the Botched Spots and Chair Shots Instagram account. Ultimately, he said that Jack Perry was a mid-card guy. Doing mid-card things. I don't know. I think Bischoff and Cornette and Russo are all in the same capacity where it's kind of like, what flavor Kool-Aid do you choose to drink? Like, which legend do you attach to or like agree with? And they all have heat for different reasons. So I think this is one of those things, like, if you agree with Bischoff, cool. If you agree with Russo, cool. If you agree with Cornette, cool. They all had very differing opinions about it. I think Bischoff's had the most business savvy approach to it. Let me see. I know it's fresh on our Instagram. Read the next news and rumors, and then I'll come back after we get that. I'll read the Bischoff stuff.
have 4 left that we can just power through.
Sweet.
A source told PW Insider Elite that WWE added Drew McIntyre's post-WrestleMania time off to his current contract. The company hasn't rushed to get a new deal with McIntyre done because he's now locked up until next year's Mania.
Huh.
The Wrestling Observer says Gable Stevenson has been officially removed from the NXT roster. It is not clear what exactly that means, but he's not in the brand's current plans right now.
But he was used in a house show like 2 days ago. And I know what you're talking about. Look at that. Self-bet. What's up, man? Them sexy ass glasses, Boo Bear. Jaxo looking all professional.
What's
and
up,
shit.
Self-bet?
They used him at a house show like 2 days ago. Gable Steveson is one of those guys. He's a fruit enthusiast. That's what I've decided to call guys that have grape tendencies. So he's a fruit. He's a fruit enthusiast because he has grape tendencies. You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So Gable Steveson is a fruit enthusiast, and in my opinion, until that sorts out, whether you're found guilty or innocent, that determines whether or not you need to be in a locker room full of women or not.
There you go. Speaking of terrible people, Matt Riddle versus the Police. TMZ and Ringside News are both reporting that Riddle had a run-in with the police at the airport while traveling out of New York City. Cops are saying Riddle is full of shit because Riddle is saying what is it exactly?
They're saying that he sexually harassed them and that the cops were like groping him and they made him feel stupid and minuscule or unimportant or something. The police department and TMZ and Ringside News are all reporting that the cops are going, that's not at all what happened. Like, this is Matt Riddle coming in high as a kite and making a scene for no reason.
Yeah. And as always here on Botched Spots and Chair Shots and Rivet City Radio, it is always Ritter over Riddle.
Ritter over Riddle. Riddle has lost his marbles, Sean. You're absolutely correct. Ritter over Ritter. Ritter over Riddle.
And then my very last one, and I'm going to start doing this every week, and we're going to call this the Ryback tinfoil hat moment of the week. So everybody put on your little Ryback
tinfoil hats on. What did Ryback do this week?
On the Ryback show, Ryback said adult film star Phoenix Marie recently referred him to some guy from Brazil named Yao Cabrera, who he said could help fix the ongoing issues with Ryback's social media accounts. If you don't know, Ryback thinks that Twitter and X and WWE are hiding his tweets from being seen.
This man has lost his goddamn mind. He's crazier than I am. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
The big guy admitted that Yao then scammed him out of $2,000. It wasn't so bad though, because the scammer actually asked Ryback to send $7,000.
Oh, and his broke ass couldn't afford it, so only sent half anyways. You know, I'm gonna leave the fuck Ryback. That's up for the rest of the night. I'm gonna star it, so anytime somebody, that's the new, like, John, you just got starred. Yes, Ryback conspiracy Sean all day. I wish I still had my my Streamlabs little sounds so I can play the conspiracy theory.
You can't do it in here.
I would have to share the audio. I'll figure it out. I couldn't find the Eric Bischoff. I thought I put it on the Instagram and I didn't. So
you may have done it in the stories.
I think so. Eric Bischoff, but yeah, he ultimately said that Jack Perry was a mid-card dude doing mid-card
there's
shit.
nothing wrong being mid-card.
Once again, like, it depends on which flavor Kool-Aid you like. Used to be a Ryback fan, was super cool dude when I met him. He has me blocked on all socials. I'll have to share that story one day. You and me both, self bet. He's in the Botched Spots and Share Shots Hall of Fame. Our Hall of Fame is very different than a normal Hall of Fame because over the last 3 years, my mouth has got us blocked by several sports entertainer personalities. So in our Hall of Fame is all the people that have me blocked on social medias, and Ryback was one of the early entrants into the Botched Spots Hall of Fame.
I mean, here's the thing about Ryback. You know, he claims his tweets and stuff are being blocked and yada yada yada. Bro, it's because you have so many motherfuckers blocked. Like, that's your problem. People don't see your shit because you have 90% of the internet blocked.
That's because we all hate his guts. You remember when he did that fucking thing a few years ago where it was, should I retire? Should I go to AEW? Should I go to back
why
to
you
AEW?
got blocked. Yeah.
I was like, I was more interested in that vote than I was the election of 2020. Like, come the fuck on.
I mean, he shouldn't have put the option to tell him to go away on there.
Sean's blocked by Michael Cole and Adam Pearce. Neither of those guys have me blocked. I've never interacted with Michael Cole, but Adam Pearce and I have interacted. He's a cool dude. I made a comment about him being a 6-time 10 pounds of gold holder and not to be scared of Roman or some shit, and he retweeted it like 3 years ago. Was that the end of News and Rumors?
That was. So moving forward, I'm always going to end with the Ryback conspiracy of the week.
All right. Scal says he's blocked by JD from New York. That was a fun night. I'm blocked by... You got blocked? How did you get blocked by
Sean?
Ava Rain? She's a darling, dude. And not to mention, Schism reminds me of, like... They're like that Nirvana. Like, that grunge...
I love their
shit.
entrance.
Yeah, dude. That entrance theme is badass.
I'm not blocked by anybody.
It's Sean that should explain it. I'm not sure how Sean gets blocked by anybody. He's one of the nicest dudes I know.
Yeah, that shocks me.
So me and Jax were talking right after he came on, and we've never actually done this episode before, so I felt like tonight would be a good night. It's real chill. It's just the three of us. The Forbidden Door moments. This is the thing, all right? I wrote this article. This says it was posted February 15th of 2022. That sounds right. It might be further back than that. Because it
says 23.
No, it should be further back. I wrote it multiple years ago. This is Pro Wrestling Stories, not Sportster. Did the door just open?
Mm-mm.
What was that? Oh, we're not going to talk about it?
Mm-mm.
So, wow. Five to Jax, remind me after we go off air to what this whole like 10 seconds was.
Okay.
So 5 times the Forbidden Door opened. I wrote this article a couple years ago. It was right after AEW invaded TK's Wonderland and came after John Moxley with the title belt. Ava interacted with me several times. Her dad is my hero. JD from New York is an asshole, 100%. And Scowls is intrigued. But we never did the episode with the Forbidden Door. Thanks to Tony Khan, the Forbidden Door has become like kind of this synonymous phrase in the world of negotiations and partnerships in pro wrestling. But in my opinion, Forbidden Door isn't something that's new or intriguing because it's been happening throughout wrestling history our entire fucking lives. So tonight we're going to talk about some of our favorite Forbidden Door moments. I'm going to go through the article. I have a couple jotted down that I want to talk about. Jax, you said you had done a little bit of your research too. Like, you want to tee off? You want me to tee off?
I know when I started. You can tee off on this one. I'll follow your lead on this one.
I'm going to start with one of my favorites, and it was because it was during my childhood. 97, 98. I am pulling from my article here, so if it sounds like I'm reading something, that's because I am. 97, 98. Members of the National Wrestling Alliance, the NWA, invaded WWE TV. And at this point, a young Jeff Jarrett had left WCW, went to the NWA, won the title, the North American title. Not Dom Dom's North American title, but like the old NWA North American title. And he was managed by Jim Cornette. And this was part of that like NWA invasion. It was almost like a tryout for Jeff Jarrett anyways, because this is when he was coming in. But during the build to 98's Royal Rumble, this is the Three Faces of Foley. This is Stone Cold's shenanigans winning in the last moment by like sliding back in after he had been eliminated. Like there's lots going on, but the build was him versus Owen Hart. And so it was him versus Owen Hart. And that seemed to be like the build for it. So my first entry into some of my favorite Forbidden Door moments is Jeff Jarrett and the NWA invading WWE with the North American title and all of that. Like, do you remember when this happened at all? Like Jarrett coming in with a different title in the Royal Rumble at this point? Or do you like rewatch it and go, oh shit, WWE had NWA in the Royal Rumble already?
Yeah, it was more of a rewatch going, oh, okay, this is different. Like the Forbidden, and I find like Forbidden Door nowadays, it just has a name. Like it's been called the Forbidden Door. But you go back to 94 when AAA and WCW did When Worlds Collide and got sued by ECW because they had the rights to that name for a show.
Sean, I appreciate you, Bubba. Thank you for hitting that follow button. We love you, Bubba. Thanks. When you look at it in that perspective, like you're absolutely right. When Worlds Collide is the perfect example because Eric Bischoff at that time didn't know. Like he was like, "What can I do to get the crowd over? Like, what can I do to make them pop?" And he found these luchadors. You had Conan and Eddie. We unfortunately lost Art Barr before he had a chance to come back up into the States. Like there were so many of these great luchadors that came up from Mexico when all of this happened that people forget about When Worlds Collide. You can watch it on YouTube still to this day. You can go pull it up on YouTube for free. And when you do it, you have that chance to watch it. You're like, holy shit, like a young Rey Mysterio Jr. in Psychosis. Like 94 was right before he debuted in the States. So like you're talking about baby Ray, and think this is LA in 93 or 94. So think about like culturally what this represents for the United States for them to bring this up and to promote something, you know, that was a purely Latin based thing because almost everybody on the card was AAA because the ironic thing about this show was WCW only had people in the main event.
Yeah.
Like the rest of the card was AAA and like independent guys and stuff. They didn't actually give AAA anything. They used their TV deals and their production and their producers, and Eric Bischoff directed the show. But it was ultimately a big tribute to AAA. So that's a great pick, Jax. 94 with When Worlds Collide, in my opinion, is one of those like Forbidden Door before it was cool Forbidden Door moments.
Yeah.
Al, are you back? Everything good?
Yep. I'm back.
You got one? You want to talk about something?
Yeah. Let's go with one that I don't think I'll talk about while I was gone. Mick Foley going to Ring of Honor in 2005 is one that I think is kind of cool.
Mick Foley going anywhere is always cool. Jax, you're kind of the resident TNA Impact guy. What do you think about Foley doing the Foley things and showing up in all of these other promotions after his WWE run? Because he showed up he did more a little bit of deathmatch stuff, but mostly that TNA run is what he's most known for post WWE. As a TNA fan who watched a lot of that early stuff, what did you think about Foley and TNA?
It was so cool getting to see him do it on a smaller stage, because Foley is one of those guys. It doesn't matter if there's 10 people in the crowd or if there's 10,000 people in the crowd. He's going to put everything and anything on the line.
Facts.
And I think the TNA run kind of gave him a little bit of an adrenaline rush and made him want to keep up with the younger kids and keep his name relevant. I liked his TNA run.
Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio and IWA Mid-South before they went back. Matt, you bringing up IWA Mid-South. I've interviewed a lot of Ian's talents throughout the last few years doing my interview series, No Free Shoutouts, Seeing Hot Takes. Check the Rivet City Radio YouTube out. When I interviewed Jake Christ last year, it was right after him and Ian had a falling out, and Jake burned the IWA Mid-South heavyweight and junior heavyweight titles like live on a Twitter video, and I screen recorded it. And I wrote about it and had him on and talked about it. And he told me, he was like, he said the words, Ian is a cancer in the industry. But also for every person that says something like that about Ian Rotten, I have people that have came onto this show and been like, Ian will take the shirt off of his back to make sure you have something to wear home after the show. Ian will not take a paycheck to make sure somebody else gets their hot dog or their handshake. So to me, for every person that says something shitty about Ian Rotten, somebody has something equally as great to say about the man. So I think that's a tit for tat thing, but that shows the pull he had in the business to be able to pull an Eddie Guerrero and a Rey Mysterio at that point in their careers. 1,000%. That's a great Forbidden Door reference, Matt Ward.
I have a good one from that was recent.
What?
Shinsuke going to Japan to retire Muta.
Oh, yeah, the Pro Wrestling Noah show.
Yeah.
That was huge because that's WWE doing that shit. The last person they let leave to go to Japan was Jericho, right? Didn't he do that in 2018, right before he left WWE full time? Didn't they send him over there to do Wrestle Kingdom?
No, he was already he was on his own by then.
He had already left. Okay,
he wanted to go do Wrestle Kingdom, and he wouldn't let him, and that's what ultimately led to the nail in the coffin, in my opinion, to why he jumped so quickly.
I think in just about every capacity, though, Jericho showed that he would work with WWE to a certain extent, and if they didn't give him what he wanted, he was going to bounce. And Bryan Danielson did the same thing. Because Bryan Danielson said he wanted to work in Japan, and if they weren't going to give it to him, he was leaving. What's up, Jax?
Here's another newer one. Jushin Thunder Liger showing up on NXT to wrestle Tyler Breeze.
That's a pick right there, dude. Jushin Thunder Liger is a fucking legend in the industry. He's wrestled everywhere.
AJ Styles at Slammiversary in 2022.
Yeah.
Did AJ Styles show up at Slammiversary?
To celebrate his 20.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's still cool that WWE let him do that. I forgot about that. Huh?
Wasn't The Rock on Impact thinking one of like the Hall of Famers or something one time?
They've
I think it was
used-
just a pre-tape.
We've seen them. Who else have we seen? We saw a couple guys from. We've seen Frankie Kazarian. He's wrestled a ton for Impact. He's under AEW contract. We've seen him work in Impact and NWA. Just talking about like recent things. Like I said, I think the bigger thing, the important thing to take here is that like the Forbidden Door stuff going further enough back in history. The NWA World's Champion, for instance, Ric Flair kicked in the Forbidden Door every couple weeks because he would go from Jim Crockett Promotions to Georgia Championship Wrestling to Florida to Mid-South to Memphis to AWA. You know, he would go out to Portland. So every couple weeks he was kicking in the Forbidden Door by showing up in a new territory on a new TV system, you know, TV show rather. So like this isn't a new thing. They've been doing it for years. Jack, Sal, y'all got another one before I take a turn?
I was just going to say, we shit on AEW a lot because, well, you know,
all the reasons to shit
all
on
the
AEW.
reasons to shit on AEW. But like a reason to maybe not shit on AEW is I will give Tony props that he allows his wrestlers to go to other promotions like without an issue. It's like, oh, you want to show our brand somewhere else? Cool, awesome. That just brings more eyes to our brand, or you know, you're helping foster talent somewhere else. Like not having, you know, like WWE pretending that nobody else exists, like is good and bad at the same time. But I think it's like that's the one thing that AEW does well is working. They work well with others, except for AAA because of New Japan, but. You know. Yeah.
Alex Pierce, thank you for the follow. You haven't said anything in the chat, but I see you on the stream chart. Thank you, sir. Or ma'am. Alex is one of those gender neutral names. I think that AEW does a good job. A few media calls ago, I asked TK, it was before Forbidden Door 2, I asked him, with the successes of Forbidden Door, would there be a chance he would want to open that door for other companies? And he talked about his love for lucha wrestling and wanting to come in and bring in some of the AAA guys, get some of those lucha underground guys like the Mexican independents because of his love for lucha wrestling. So I would say that Tony Khan's fandom, which is something he gets a lot of flack for, is also something that allows him to want to push that, is because he wants to get these dream matches that we've never had a chance to see. He may be a guy playing with his figures, but at least he's trying to give with the fans what they want. So,
yeah, I'll give him that much.
Facts, for sure. One of mine, I'm going to go ahead and knock one off my list, is the Ultimo Dragon. Okay, and a lot of people don't give him enough props. And I'm going to go back far enough. This is in the 90s now, and it's the J Crown Octuple Championship. And Antonio Inoki had this wild fucking idea to host a junior heavyweight tournament with 8 guys with 8 different titles up for grabs. And it's a winner-take-all tournament. So every time you won a match, you got another title until the very end where you won all 8 titles, okay? The interesting fact about this was that at the time, the WWF Light Heavyweight Championship was being defended at Michinoku Pro Wrestling in Japan. Taka Michinoku sent his junior heavyweight champion to the Octuple J Cup tournament, and he got booked out of it because the way the tournament was going. So Ultimo Dragon won the J Cup, okay, while under WCW contract, won a New Japan Pro Wrestling tournament, and in return for winning that tournament, won a WWF title while being under contract in WCW. Just to take it one step further, he wore all 8 titles out to the ring one time to wrestle Dean Malenko in a winner-take-all match, and he beat Malenko to win the WCW Cruiserweight title to be 9 champions. Okay, 9 championships.
At one time.
9 at once. This is the picture of him with his arms held out, and he's got belts draped all the way down both sides, and he's got 3 around his midsection. He did it once because WWF said, fuck you, we want our belt back. And they were immediately like, we are not okay with this. when did we like what? This is not what we agreed to when we sent this belt to Japan. Like, you talk about the biggest slip through the cracks moment for WWF was them turning on a pay-per-view and realizing their junior heavyweight title, their light heavyweight title, is now on WCW TV being worn by the person who didn't get sent to Japan with it. So not only did, Ultimo Dragon walk through the forbidden door, he kicked that bitch in like he was Steven fucking Seagal.
Oh, that's a comparison.
Matt's got another one for us before somebody else jumps off. Murder Grandpa going to MLW to face Jacob Fatu is a huge Forbidden Door dream match. Jacob Fatu was just on the screen. He had a killer death match in this GCW show we're watching.
I think it would be cool to get all of the Fatus together in one place, despite what promotion they're in.
That would be a hell of a match. Yeah, absolutely, it would be. You got another one, Jax?
Yes, I do. And it's going to be the first time Tony Khan kicked the Forbidden Door open when he sent Kenny Omega to Impact Wrestling.
Great pick. Yeah, dude. That was Belt Collector Kenny.
Belt Collector Kenny, after winning, and this is what made it so good, after winning the AEW World title, his first time speaking as AEW World Champion would be on an Impact television show. And I remember that just led into, okay, now the Good Brothers are jumping over to AEW.
There was a lot that went down.
Moose just came over. That was a good talent exchange at the time to work because it was during the pandemic. They were not Jacksonville and
Orlando. They were filming out of Orlando at the time.
Were they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're not that far apart. You can get back and forth. So I thought that was a great I think that was the first time I think Tony kind of dipped his foot in and said, okay, this Forbidden Door idea might work.
I think that was a good time for them because think about that was a push for Impact in 2020 that's helped them become as big as they are now. Because that run with Kenny Omega having both those Impact, because he had the TNA title belt and the Impact World title and the Mega Championship and the AEW title.
All at once.
You're not a big Kenny O fan, but what did you think about Belt Collector Kenny O? Do you remember him really early on? The 2020 range? That was right after we started Botch Bots. You had been watching wrestling for like a cup of coffee at that point.
I wasn't really into AEW at that point, but I'm pretty sure that even then I decided I didn't like Kenny Omega.
You could feel it in your jowls.
Listen,
you just knew
you want to know the first moment that did it for me.
What's
with
that?
Kenny Omega? He's got blonde. He's got light colored hair. Okay. He at the time before each match, he was spraying like that root touch up shit in his hair to make his hair dark. And when he would like make himself look wet or like sweat, that shit would drip down his face and it was disgusting. I was like, why the fuck?
What's the dude's name from the Sixth Sense? Not the Sixth Sense, the Fifth Element.
I don't know. But like when he was sweating, like it was just like running down him. I'm like, that looks awful. So, like I said, the reasons that I don't like wrestlers are stupid and like has nothing to do with their abilities. He is amazing in the ring. Like you can't deny that. But I don't know. Like I latch on to like the dumbest little things like, who is it? The announcer whose voice I hate. Wade Barrett. Is it Wade Barrett?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't fucking stand his voice. Like, I love accents, but something about his voice just...
The way she's talking about Kenny Omega, Scowls, is the bad guy who's got, like, the little plastic plate over side of his head, and when he sweats like that black goo stuff. And that's what it makes me think The first step to solving the problem, Al, is admitting there's a problem.
Hey, I didn't say he was a bad wrestler. Like, he's great at his job. I just don't like him.
I love you, Scouts.
I have one.
What's up?
Medusa.
Ooh, that's a great one.
Throwing the belt in the trash. What's interesting about this is this past season of WWE Hidden Treasures is Mick Foley got her to give it back. After all this time, he convinced her to give it back.
The belt.
She's had it?
She had it the whole time.
Well, she said that she took it out of the trash because it was just for the spot. And they say this right here. Russo said on the show, like on our show, that the reason why the screw job had to happen the way it did was because Vince was terrified of Brett showing up on Monday Nitro with the WWF title and this happening twice in 2 years. Because she did it, and then they were like, if Brett leaves the champion and shows up tomorrow night on WCW with our belt, like, we know Bischoff's going to get him to do the same thing. So, like, in theory, Medusa dropping the belt in the trash was the catalyst for what eventually led to the Montreal Screwjob happening. Because they were like, there's no fucking way we can let this happen again. Not with the Winged Eagle. That was the most prestigious title on the planet at the point. That's a great pick, Al. Love Medusa. She changed that WCW's women's division, man. Like, she pushed the limits there because they didn't really have one when they brought her in.
No free shout-outs to Annie, but that show is awesome if you haven't watched it. It's really fucking cool.
If you like the history side of wrestling, it's badass.
Yeah.
They had the Nitro Girls.
Yeah. She wasn't real happy about giving it out. I haven't watched the whole episode, but like he does convince her to finally give it back.
Well,
it took a while. She was kind of salty about it. Because she was salty about leaving in the first place. So.
She didn't want to have to leave, but WWE wouldn't pay her.
Yeah. Because
they said there wasn't a draw in women's wrestling, which I think in the mid-90s they weren't necessarily wrong about. It was still such a young division. Like, as in, like, the fact that Moolah held the title for 30 goddamn years.
Right.
Jax, you got one for me, Bubba?
I'm going to go back to Impact. When I'm going to say New Japan then dipped their hand into Impact Wrestling by sending Jay White over.
Ooh, that's a good pick, too. Jay White was everywhere a few years ago, man. Yeah. Like, he was bouncing all over the place. He did Impact, he did AEW, and he was wrestling in the Indies on the West Coast, plus doing New Japan Pro Wrestling. So, like, Jay White was everywhere.
That, him showing up after Kenny wins the belt, or defends the belt, and the Switchblade music hits, I was like, there's no fucking way. I was watching it because I wanted to see what was going to go on with Kenny. And I'm like, there's no way. And out comes walking Jay White, and I went, we're about to have a face-off we haven't seen in years. Because if you hark back to, and not to go on a side tangent, Jay White in New Japan, Kenny Omega tried to recruit him into the Bullet Club.
He did.
And to see that face off again, I almost thought they were going to pull a swerve on us and go Jay White versus Kenny for the Impact title.
That would have been a great pick. There's nothing wrong with that pick.
That would have been a hell for you can't do it. Even you can still do it. That'd be a dream match, Kenny Omega versus Jay White for me. I don't know if they've wrestled. I don't know if they've wrestled before. If they have, I've never seen the match. And if you've seen it, send it to me.
I'm looking it up right now for you. Al, you got anything for me before I start rambling?
I don't think so. Oh, I mean, just some newer stuff. When the Good Brothers came into WWE, they let what's his digit?
Carl Anderson.
Thank you. I was like, words are hard. They let him carry around his New Japan title for a little bit. I mean, it wasn't really like full Forbidden Door, but it at least acknowledged that somebody else existed.
Who did? Wait, repeat that one more time for me. I was about to drop some Kenny Omega news.
Carl Anderson coming into WWE with the New Japan
Oh yeah, the never open weight title.
Yeah.
That was when New Japan strong armed WWE into that working relationship because they intentionally kept the title on Anderson. Thank you, Scouts. Yeah, I realized what she was talking about and threw it in there.
Yeah.
I mean,
it wasn't full like Forbidden Door. I mean, it kind of was.
They acknowledged him as being another promotion's champion on their television, though. So in my book, that counts.
Yeah. And then Mickey
that counts 100%.
James in the Rumble a couple of years ago. You know.
Kenny Omega defeated Jay White in a 10-minute and 30-second match at Road to Invasion in March of 2016 at Kurikan Hall. And then he beat him. Jay White defeated Kenny Omega for the IWGP US Heavyweight title in 2018. So they've had a few singles matches, but most of their work together has always been like the New Japan like tag matches where it's 4 and 10-man tags.
Okay, that means I have to go back and find that US title match.
We've got New Japan World for the time being. I'll see if I can pull some shit from their archives and go back far enough and see if I can find it. And we'll do some homework and watch it because I think 2018 Omega versus 2018 Jay White would be a fucking awesome match to watch. They would have been babies 5 years ago. Thank you for the cheers, Tommy. That's a good pick. One of my favorite ones is the Freebirds, the Fabulous Freebirds. They were. What the fuck,
okay?
Jay? Yeah, the cat just knocked a bunch of books off my bookcase. I didn't realize she was behind me. The Fabulous Freebirds coming out of Georgia. They coined the Freebird rule, which was ultimately them being the NWA tag team champions. They would show up in other territories, but you wouldn't necessarily know which Freebirds you were going to get, and they would just show up. Ghosts, not the cat. Scows, we're not talking about that. That'll be in the post show. You're not wrong, though, which is what's fucked up about that. So they would travel from territory to territory, and part of the Freebird rule was you didn't know which 2 of the 4 would show up or which 2 of the 5 would show up. So they would rotate between the 2, and then they would show up like randomly with 2 different guys. So that's where the Freebird rule came from, which in its return opened the forbidden door because you would have different guys from the faction defending the tag titles. Dan the Beast Severn showing up in WWE with the UFC Championship being a forbidden door moment. Yes, it would. Good call there, my guy. Thank you, Matt. Somebody else got one for me while I put my bookcase back together?
I don't have another one, sir.
Oh, okay. I've got one more, and then we'll get ready to wrap it up then. Home cheese making, in case you want to worry about it. Kitchen Confidential from Anthony Bourdain. The World Encyclopedia of Cheese. We've got all kinds of weird shit over here.
Encyclopedia of Cheese.
Yeah. At one point, I was studying to be a fromagier, which is like I didn't have the money for the test at the time. But a fromagier is like the cheese version of a sommelier, like somebody who masters in tasting cheeses. Like I was getting that certification at one point.
I want that fucking job.
Yeah. Like I want a job where I just fucking taste cheese all day.
It's
I don't give a shit if I'll never shit again, but hey.
I was at one point in my career, I was a level 1 Cicero, which is the beer tasting, like pairing beers with food. I was a level 1 sommelier, which is wine. And I was studying to get my level 1 fromagier, which is pairing food and wine, or cheese and wine together. Yeah. I used to be bougie as fuck, guys. And then I stopped because I got cancer and never went back.
Now I feel bad, but
at
the same time, like I want to taste cheese for a living now.
That would be dope as shit to do nothing but sit around and taste cheese and wine. That's the dream job. Like that's where I was heading with my life. Was I just wanted to be the guy that helped you build menus, and then I would go to a new restaurant and do it. I was consulting at the time, and best fucking kitchen gig I ever had. I got paid to go in and tell other people what to cook, and it was fucking awesome. I loved it. I would consult again today if I could get that job back. You can keep the wine and just give me the cheese. Tommy, I'll give you whatever you want, Poppy. My last forbidden door, let me pick a good one. AEW when Kenta and Moxley showed up. But one of my favorites, 1993. Bubba, you and I were just talking about this one. Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
Yes.
The fucking, what are they called? Who are the tag team champs? Let me look it up. Jim Cornette had rooted this like old school traditional like last inch territory for pro wrestling, and he ran Smoky Mountain Wrestling out of like Knoxville in Virginia and stuff. The Heavenly Bodies. Thank you, Matt. There it is. It was in my head. That's why I started talking. I found it. I pulled the file drawer out to find it. And the Heavenly Bodies came down, and it's the first and last time that I can confirm that another promotion's title was defended on a WWE pay-per-view. So this is huge because WWE was sending The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels and a lot of these guys down to Smoky Mountain to work. And then they were using Smoky Mountain as the very early form of like their feeder system and developmental. So you got to think Chris Jericho, Lance Storm, Kane, New Jack, all of these guys came from Smoky Mountain Wrestling. And then they put their feelers out, WWE, WCW, ECW, like, so Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Yeah, I fucking love New Jack. We need to do a whole episode just on New Jack.
You crazy.
Do a Botch Spots After Dark. Me, you, and Mike Jacks could do New Jack.
New Jack.
We did it. Chat, you got anything you want to throw in Forbidden Door-wise? Let us know. Otherwise, we're going to start plugging ourselves. Jax, tell everybody where to find you.
You can find me on Sundays and Tuesdays here on Rivet City Radio for Botched Spots Chair Shots and Nerdy News at 420. You can now find me on Tuesday nights for NXT on tap on Off the Top Media. And you can find me Wednesdays and Saturdays on Wrestle Talk Wolfpack for Boyfriend Time and the Wrestle Talk Wolfpack.
Killing it. Al, what you got coming down the pipes?
Well, on Thursday, we will be doing Boss Bitch Birthday Trivia. So whoever wants to play, slide into the DMs. We're going to do it a little differently this week because my birthday is on the 18th, and I'm going to do what I fucking want. It's my show.
Facts.
So we will have wrestling and Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader as usual. But our third category will be a special one called Is It Wrestling or Is It Porn? Where I will list off the name of indie wrestlers and names of porn stars, and you have to tell me, are they a wrestler or are they a porn star?
I can't wait to play this on Thursday. This is going, you don't want to miss trivia this week, guys.
It'll be at 11 p.m. Central Time, midnight Eastern. Sorry it's late, but there are people we want to play that don't get off till late. But if you want to join us, we're going to do a little pre-show starting at 10:30 Central. So if you want to come in and hang out for my birthdays, even though we still have an episode of Botched Spots the day before my birthday, whatever, I don't care. Thursday's my show, so we're going to do my birthday celebration then.
Sunday, the day before your birthday, is the Get Yo Takeover next week. We're going to have Juss and Vince and Benji and all the guys from Get Yo on here, and it's going to be a wild heyday of an episode. There's no fucking telling what we're going to talk about.
So, but yeah, so we'll be celebrating the anniversary of my 29th birthday. So yeah, you can also find me at JustAGirl918 on TikTok, Instagram, and the tweeters. I vow that after my birthday, I'm going to get back to posting my shady ass tweets. Yeah.
I vow on after Al's birthday to tag her in every Kenny Omega post.
My stuff, as always, join the Discord. It's the direct link to all things Rivet City Radio and Off the Top. If you want to ask a host something, you want to talk to any of us, that's the direct line to do it. If you like merch, check out angrylemonade.com/blackspots and share shots right now. You'll be able to cop all that sweet merch over there. If you have Amazon Prime, give us that Jeff Bezos money. It's free. You have a Prime Gaming subscription. Use it here on Twitch. Give it to the Wolfpack. Give it to World Championship Wreckage. Give it to somebody. Just as long as Amazon doesn't get it. The lifeblood of Rivet City Radio, those are the Patreon, patreon.com/Rivet City Radio, PayPal at Botched Spots. You can also use those two means to help keep the lights on, so to speak. Patreon's $5 a month. You get all that sweet, the Hill Sport Group, Matches and Colby, the Raw Rewind, my GM mode with Scals and Jamie. You get the power rankings when me and Scals put them together. You get tons of cool stuff, plus Botch Spots and Chair Shots After Dark, which is that's my favorite show I do outside of this one. So make sure you check it all out. My shout outs this week, as always, make sure you follow everything Off the Top Media, follow everything Creation World. Make sure you're following World Championship Wreckage. That's mine and Dad Hat's side project where we're diving through WCW history. There's also all kinds of new content going out over there. Follow the Wrestle Talk Wolfpack. That's Self Bet, Dad Hat, Bree, and Jax. Plus, they've got Boyfriend Time over there. Follow, and super important, follow Wrestling with the Truth and Ted the Hillbilly Hill. Those are two of our longest standing friends and relationships in the podcast community. Make sure you follow our friends. Thank you, Scals, for doing the Discord. Matt, as always, we love you. Thank you for hanging out. Tommy, Scals, Des, everybody else in the chat, if you're here. Devin, I see you, Devin, lurking. I appreciate you being in there. Des is here. Tommy's here. Matt Ward, Norwegian Girl, Off the Top Media, Paula, Snipey, all of you. Y'all got anything for the class before I talk real fast?
No.
Nope. Well, now as we close another episode of Botched Spots and Chair Shots, take a minute. Thank you for listening. Remind you to go wherever you do anything on the internet, like, follow, subscribe, unsubscribe, then subscribe again. Leave a comment telling me how great I am or how beautiful Jax's beard looks. Either way, it helps the algorithm and it helps find new listeners. If you're feeling really generous to be one of the VIP people, head over to patreon.com and donate to the Rivet City Radio Podcast Network. You get some fantastic swag. We get some fantastic guests. It's a win-win. For the Boss Bitch Al, for my boy Jax, I am the Will Gray. Thanks for stopping by and listening, my people.